Welcome to King 5. I'm Andy Judson. This is The Week, a look at what made headlines in our region, along with your weekend forecast. But first, the man accused of running an OnlyFans operation out of a Bellevue mansion is now facing human trafficking charges. Prosecutors allege Nikita Tukalo recruited young women to create online adult content and used fear, violence, and control to keep them there. Charging documents paint a much darker picture than what we knew when police first raided the mansion. King 5 obtained video from inside one of the parties held there just weeks before the raid, and new court documents detail allegations of guns, strangulation, and psychological abuse. King 5's Bridget Chavez has more.
Exclusive video obtained by King 5 shows one of dozens of parties inside the Bellevue mansion on May 15th. Police shut it down that night. Less than a month later, the same mansion is now at the center of a human trafficking case. Today, prosecutors charged 21-year-old Nikita Tukalo with 4 counts of human trafficking, money laundering, and leading organized crime. For one survivor who came to court today, the details felt familiar.
I am a survivor of human trafficking, so this is really important that people come forward, that people speak out. I didn't for myself.
She's not tied to the case, but came to support the victims. She asked to stay anonymous for safety reasons.
You know, it's put out there like it's a modeling opportunity, and they get video of you doing very compromising things and threaten to release it to your friends, your family, and before you know it, you are stuck.
Charging documents describe allegations of physical violence, threats, and coercion. One woman told investigators she became suicidal and alleged Tukalo handed her a loaded gun and told her to do it. Another woman told police she was forced to crawl on the floor like a dog, while Tukalo allegedly pointed a gun at her. The same victim described being grabbed by the throat and strangled during an assault inside the home.
Human trafficking cases are some of the most difficult charging documents to read. It's even more difficult for the victims to go through.
On a still active Instagram account, Tukalo projects a life of wealth, posting pictures of cash, exotic cars, and stacks of cell phones. The account also advertised for relation managers and later solicited salespeople for digital products, offering housing in Puerto Rico or Miami. Prosecutors say recruitment was a key part of the alleged operation.
This was brought to us by Bellevue Police, who had really serious concerns about not only the number of victims, but the extent of how long this is alleged to have gone on.
Bridget Chavez also spoke with victims this week who say Tukalo contacted them when they were minors. Here's what they had to say and the warnings they're now sharing with other young women.
Parties, cash, and a luxury lifestyle. That's the life Nikita Tukalo portrayed. But behind it all was something much darker.
I've known about this, especially Nikita, for so long. I've known since I was, about 16 years old that he was running some sort of sex trafficking ring.
2 women tell King 5 Tukalo contacted them long before his arrest last Thursday. Both were minors at the time.
Repeated messages of trying to get me to join their OnlyFans house.
Saffron Laframboise says the pitch was simple.
The whole idea behind it is, you have an OnlyFans manager and they're the ones that kind of run all of the difficult parts of it.
She says Tukalo and others promised money and opportunity while handling the business side of the operation.
So it kind of makes it seem like, all I have to do is, take pictures or take videos.
Court documents describe recruitment efforts promising $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Laframboise says she saw red flags.
One of my friends who's also in the OnlyFans industry, she warned me about them and told me that, they take money from the girls, they have them sign these contracts or NDAs that keep them locked in to this OnlyFans house, this OnlyFans business, and they can't get out.
Another woman who asked not to be identified says Tukalo tried to contact her multiple times.
He has added me maybe about 5, 6 different times on all different accounts, assuming that he's trying to get me to do the OnlyFans.
Prosecutors allege this type of recruitment was at the center of the operation. Court documents say women were told they could face consequences if they left.
I've known many of the people that have been victimized by Nikita personally.
One victim telling police, "I let them because I was scared. I thought I was going to get killed, to be honest."
I think people are scared. I think they're scared to speak out, especially, against a group of people who they assume are pretty powerful amongst their age. I've personally gotten death threats by some of them in the past.
Takalo is charged with 4 counts of human trafficking, money laundering, and leading organized crime. Both women say they hope more people come forward.
I just really want to be somebody who can speak up for these girls and bring awareness to what's happening.
Takalo pled not guilty Thursday. He's charged with human trafficking, money laundering, and leading organized crime. He remains in jail with bail set at $5 million. Seattle fire crews are investigating after a 3-alarm fire destroyed a large warehouse in Ballard on Thursday. This fire started at Consolidated Supply Company on Northwest 42nd Street and Leary Way. King 5's Madison Wade was at the scene and has more.
Tonight, a massive firefight in Seattle's Ballard neighborhood. A plumbing supply warehouse caught fire, fueled by winds. The flames quickly tore through.
It was very small at first. Took some pictures, took some videos, and then it was like, heard the fire trucks coming, so I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Firefighters rushed to the scene, but quickly knew they needed more resources. A 2-alarm fire turned into a 3-alarm fire. 100 firefighters battled this from all angles.
And then realized there were flying off the roof, and it was way bigger than I thought it was.
Shortly after, they noticed the wind was causing the fire to spread really quickly. So they were initially inside the building. They had hose lines in there trying to fight the fire, but that wind picked up and really caused it to spread quickly.
At one point, firefighters pulled out from fighting the fire inside the building. The winds were so bad, and eventually the roof collapsed. One firefighter was hurt with minor injuries. 17 engines, 9 ladder trucks helped knock down the flames and smoke.
So it was it's intense still. I'm more worried about my shop than anything else. I think the plumbing supply store, I'm pretty sure, was closed, so I don't think anybody should have been hurt in it.
Firefighters kept the fire from spreading to any other buildings nearby.
This commercial building is really close to the water, so we did bring in one of our rescue boats and also a fire boat. That fire boat is actually pumping water. That water is going into the engines, which are also supplying water to the ladder trucks as they're, up on the ladders. They're getting in there, trying to attack it from above.
By 8 p.m., it was out. Everyone watching grateful for the quick actions by the Seattle Fire Department.
How quick and efficient the Seattle Fire Department is. They're very good at their jobs.
Earlier this week, we learned about the tragic passing of a lacrosse player after he was struck in the head with a ball during a recruiting event. The Mercer Island sophomore was transported to the hospital and later died from his injuries. King 5's Brady Wakayama was in Mercer Island on graduation day as students and community members mourned his passing.
It's graduation day on Mercer Island for the class of 2026. Festivities filled with a lot of pain as many in this community continue to grieve the tragic passing of sophomore Elliot Abramson.
It was just so unexpected, and this year there's just been so much loss.
A growing memorial for Elliot Abramson. The tribute is right above the Mercer Island High School athletic field. It's filled with messages from friends, teammates, and the community.
The energy has been kind of weird because the seniors are graduating, and so they're super excited, but then the sophomores are just dealing with this really rough loss, and all the students are taking it really hard.
A campus caught between celebration and heartbreak. Elliot was injured during a college lacrosse recruiting event here last Monday. He was hit in the back of the head by a lacrosse ball. Witnesses say it was a harrowing experience as Elliot lost consciousness on the field. Eastside Fire says an off-duty firefighter rushed from the stands, performing CPR for 4 minutes until crews arrived. Elliot was taken to Harborview Medical Center, where he later died.
Really close friends of mine, are crying in the hallways, and I'm trying to support them as much as I possibly can. But, how do you really support someone going through this at such a young age? It's just really awful.
Mercer Island Lacrosse calls him an extraordinary teammate, friend, and coach. Elliot is remembered as a beloved part of the program since elementary school, who represented the very best of the community.
He was incredibly smart. He was very nice. He was social. He had a very big stance at the high school. And he was for sure a community member, and I see, He was coaching kids, and he was very active. Like, he was a very good student.
A life remembered across this campus, and a loss this community is still trying to process. And according to the high school, there will be a celebration of life for Elliot this upcoming Monday at a synagogue on the island. It starts at 6 p.m. For now, on Mercer Island, Brady Wakayama, King 5 News.
When we come back, a new proposal from Governor Bob Ferguson would ban cell phones in schools. We sit down with him to hear how exactly the law would work. And King 5 meteorologist Adam Claybon shows you what to expect from the weather this weekend right after this.
All right, everyone, so let's once again talk about the 2 first alert days that are going to be ahead for us because of the heat and, yes, some drier weather, too. That's going to be in place to elevate that fire risk just a bit more. The couple of days that we're expecting to see first alert days will be Sunday and Monday, and the heat is going to be on. Summer definitely going to be in full effect at that point, even though we're still going to be about a week away from summer. But you can see Sunday and Monday are 2 warmest days that we're expecting, and really, it's hot during the afternoon, and then it's relatively warm during the overnight hours as we'll have that fire risk out there, too. With the afternoon highs, we're talking generally upper 80s, some lower 90s out there, too. The warm nights will include some 60s, and not awful, but typically we fall down into the 50s for a lot of our overnights, so it is not going to give us as much relief as what we typically see here during this time of the year, really any time of the year. Anytime we see those overnight lows only dropping down to the 60s, it can get a bit sticky and a bit uncomfortable out there. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about the World Cup, because that will be happening here in Seattle on Monday, and that's forecasted right now to be our hottest day. And so you can see Belgium and Egypt. The matchup there is expected to be a very warm one. High clouds moving in, and so we'll see what that does exactly as far as the afternoon highs, but that's going to be starting up at noon on Monday, and you can see by the latter part of the afternoon and heading into the evening, those temperatures will be closer to that 90-degree mark at that point. So some really hot air going to be around for us. All right, let's go over some of the afternoon highs here for the next few days. And again, we are going to take a bit of a closer look at those highs in some of our specified areas. So as we look at that right here, wanted to start off with how things are going to be looking heading into the day on Saturday. And we're expecting to see highs which are generally going to be more so into the days, let's go back here, into more the 70s here across the islands of Camano and Whidbey Island farther south, there across the San Juans, lower 80s for areas that are a bit more inland. And you can see maybe even some spots like around Linwood, a little more of that air coming off of the water could keep us into the upper 70s, but more likely than not, definitely going to see the lower 80s for many spots again that will continue to be a bit more inland. Continue farther south there, you can see more of the 80s that are with us across Paul's Bowl, Redmond at 83, 84 for Maple Valley, 85 as you head closer to areas around Snoqualmie, and then seeing also 85 there in Belfair, 84 in Tacoma, and about 86 degrees in Puyallup. If you're continuing farther south, it's going to be much warmer down there, closing in on the 90-degree mark around Longview. Out towards the coast, we got some relief there, upper 60s and lower 70s for Ocean Park and Long Beach. And then out towards the coast again. Now, those are going to be the spots that are not under the heat advisory around Claylock, Tahola, and Ocean Shores. Highs in the 70s, but definitely will stay much cooler than the areas just a bit inland. Tulips up to 84, 82 in Hoquiam, and getting closer to about the lower 80s around Forks. All right, let's continue this on as we head on into the day for Sunday. We're expecting highs to be just a bit warmer, so we'll do this all over again. Let's back up here, and you can see heading into Sunday, we are seeing highs in the mid-80s around Blaine, 81 there at Orcas Island. This is when we start to see some of those 90s like Cedral Woolley, getting close to that in Monroe. Gold Bar up to 90 degrees, mid-70s around Oak Harbor, 82 there in Clinton, and then seeing more of the lower 90s for Maple Valley and then Enumclaw around Snoqualmie, while closing in on the 90-degree mark there in Seattle, Bremerton, and around Paulsville, while seeing some very, very good stretches of 90s down this way around Belfair, Olympia, and in JBLM. This is going to be the area where we really start to focus in on some of the highest heat. It's going to be parts of Southwest Interior and South Sound. It's typically where we see the warmest temperatures, and it's looked like the forecast is suggesting that yet again here. as we head on into Sunday afternoon. Keep that going. You can see lower to mid 90s around Centralia down towards Longview. And then we got more of the 70s out towards the coast again. Again, not nearly as hot as what it is just a bit inland there around areas such as Forks, down towards Hub Tulips, and in Hoke Williams Shelton, getting all the way up to 93 degrees. And then one more day. Let's show you what we're expecting here heading on into Monday. As that forecast, again, expected to be the warmest for those of us who are farther inland. We'll start off towards the coast first because I did want to show you how we are going to see that push coming in from off of the coast to cool us down just a bit more there. So that's where we're going to see some of those highs start to come back down closer to the lower 70s, upper 80s to lower 90s, still around areas of southwest interior though. You see farther south, that's where Longview, getting up to Centralia, we get up into the lower to mid 90s. And we see a bit more of that too up this way around Belfair, Tacoma, Puyallup up to 92, while seeing the 90s around areas such as Seattle, Redmond up to 89, 87 in Paulsbo. Starting to get that air mass to cool down just a bit, and we'll get that cooler air farther to the north there across Camano and Whidbey Island with more of that westerly flow, while areas still farther inland and closer to I-5 deal with the 80s yet again. We'll get that one more day of seeing the really hot weather. Maybe some of the clouds moving in might keep things just a bit cooler, but overall we're still going to be expecting things to be rather hot here to Sunday and into Monday, which we're calling for our 2 first alert days to be around 4. So as we look at your 7-day forecast, do expect that as we head on into your Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to see some pretty warm days, but it's Sunday and Monday that are expected to be the hottest for us, as we'll be around that 90-degree mark. And be extra careful if you will be in boats. Make sure to have the life jackets on because the water's still going to be relatively chilly and you don't want to get caught in that. Okay, everyone, well, take care. Make sure to try to stay cool over the weekend and stay safe. We'll keep you updated on this. Take care.
Welcome back to The Week. New court documents revealed the young boy found buried in his father's backyard in Aberdeen was likely killed 2 years ago. When questioned by investigators, Jacob Bevins claimed that his son, Aiden, had moved to Idaho to live with relatives. But when police called those family members, they said they'd never met him. Bevins has now been charged with homicide and faces life in prison. King 5's Alex McClune has the story.
Prosecutors here at the Grays Harbor County Courthouse believe Jacob Bevins, Aiden's father, killed him sometime in 2024 and buried him under his house and kept it a secret all this time.
This is State of Washington versus Jacob Scott Bevins.
Jacob Bevins wept in his cell as a judge read his charges Monday. He faces life behind bars for charges of homicide by abuse, assault of a child, failure to notify the coroner of human remains, and lying to police.
$750,000.
Aiden's grandmother broke out in applause after the judge set Jacob's bail at $750,000.
How do you sleep in the house on top of that? How do you sleep in that?
Charging documents allege Aiden Bevins died after his dad engaged in a pattern of abuse. Last month, after a complaint, investigators found Aiden's body buried underneath his father's house, inside a tote and a garbage bag.
How do you have persons coming in your house visiting when you know that downstairs, in the basement, under the house, whatever?
Do you think people came to the house?
Absolutely. The mother has caregivers.
Legal documents show the dad told people the boy had gone to Idaho to live with relatives. When police called those family members, they said they'd never met Aiden.
I've never seen a case of a body of a child buried for this long and then recovered.
County Prosecutor Jason Walker says Aiden's remains are in the hands of anthropologists. His family says they can't hold a funeral until their work is done to narrow down when he died. The thought of what happened leaves Aiden's grandmother struggling to understand how someone could live with such a secret for so long.
They were coming to provide her health care while that baby decomposed. Yeah, I got some feelings about that.
The King County Medical Examiner's Office back in Seattle has Aiden's remains right now. They're starting to work on him after previously working on victims in the Longview paper mill implosion. In Grays Harbor County, Alex McClune, King 5 News.
A statewide student cell phone ban could be coming to all Washington public schools. Governor Bob Ferguson just laid out his proposal at a news conference at Robert Eagle Staff Middle School in North Seattle this week. King 5's Drew Mickelson sat down with the governor to go over his proposal.
It'll be another 6 months before legislators return to Olympia, but the governor wants to plant this seed early. He is hoping to have this all-out ban on cell phones in place by the start of the 27-28 school year to protect students like a 7th grader we met today named Zoe.
At first I thought being a phone-free school, it could be boring. Like it just might be a challenge.
As a student at Seattle's Robert Eagle Staff Middle School, every day Zoe Taggart has to put her cell phone in a pouch, and it's off limits the entire day. The principal says it's been that way here for 2 years now.
Student success is up, our climate data is up, our test scores are up, and I'm seeing kids smile at rates that we've never seen before.
Districts in Washington have been able to institute total or partial cell phone bans or no bans at all on a district-by-district basis. Current state law requires districts to study cell phone use with the goal of a total ban by 2030. But Governor Ferguson wants action taken sooner.
I don't need another study to know what needs to happen in our schools. You know, these devices just get in the way of learning. They get in the way of teachers being able to teach. And frankly, they get in the way of students interacting and having a positive environment in the schools.
His Away for the Day proposal would prohibit cell phone use for every public school K-12 student in the state while they're on campus.
Having that realization that there's other things to do other than your phone.
What Zoe feared would be a challenge has been a blessing, she says. She's having more face-to-face conversations with friends in person for a change.
I've also noticed that students seem happier and less stressed. They're not consistently worried about notifications, social media, or getting a text. That can change their whole mood in seconds.
The governor was asked about concerns from parents who have gotten used to having constant contact with their children. The governor says as a parent, he knows that fear and that concern, but he says the positives outweigh the negatives here. And he says districts have been good about making sure that children can connect with their parents during emergencies. In Olympia, Drew Mickelson, King 5 News.
Thanks for your time. We hope you enjoyed a look at the biggest stories of the week.